damaging impact on the environment? Well, let's speak now to Paul McGuinness, who is the chair of the No Third Runway Coalition in Twickenham. Paul, you've been campaigning against the Heathrow expansion for a long time now. What are your particular concerns with today's announcement?
Well, good morning, Megan. Very interesting, the last couple of pieces you've done, actually. And I think Theo used two words which almost sum it up for us. The first was symbolic, and then he used the word totemic about this particular announcement, the third runway at Heathrow. And the reason is, in many ways, it is a mission impossible. I think, as Rachel Reeves said herself, it's been looked at and attempted over 7 decades, and it hasn't happened. And I suppose she would like to think that if she's prepared to consider something which is mission impossible, anything will be possible thereafter. But there is a reason why it is mission impossible. And I think the Mayor of London has just sort of indicated what those things might be. And it's often spoken about as a third runway. That's indeed how the Chancellor refers to it. But actually, the plan is not just for an addendum airstrip, as that would suggest. The idea is to knock down houses, demolish 5 villages, divert rivers, tunnel over the most the busiest section of the M25 in order to increase the size of Heathrow by an area which is larger than Birmingham International Airport, in order that it can fly as many extra planes as Gatwick. The plan actually equates to the building of Britain's second largest airport, right next to the largest, which is the current Heathrow operation, which already statistically is the world's most disruptive airport by virtue of the fact that it lies bang smack in the middle of the most densely packed residential region in the country. And that is why time and time again it has come unstuck, and why it will fail again.
We are hearing criticisms coming in. Of course, we've just heard from Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London, as well. But the Chancellor was keen to stress that this would create 100,000 jobs. She's also said to the BBC that sustainable aviation and economic growth go hand in hand. How convinced are you by these arguments put forward by the Chancellor?
Well, look, bless. Sustainable aviation fuels, there's a mandate that up to 10% of aircraft should use it sort of within the next decade. But government studies also show that in order to grow the sustainable aviation fuel that we need, half of British farmland will need to be dedicated it to produce what is required. It's very many years away. To even discuss it at this point is almost academic. That's not to say we shouldn't be investing it. Absolutely, we should. But it is a very long way away. And it's interesting that she talks about, the jobs, and rightfully she talks about jobs. But what's very interesting, of course, is that along with speaking about her mission impossible, she's also spoken about the expected extensions at Gatwick and Luton. And those, allied to the expansions already at both Stansted and London City, will increase the South East's aviation capacity by 60 million, which is more than Heathrow was ever going to offer. Indeed, it is not inconceivable, had those other expansions been in the pipeline at the time of the Airports Commission, that Heathrow's expansion never would have been recommended at all.
We know as well that the Chancellor mentioned decisions on Luton and Gatwick will be made by the Transport Secretary in the coming days. Now, just talk to us about any potential concerns you have about further announcements. Well,
I don't know that there are any further announcements. And it's interesting that she says she supports in principle her mission impossible, the mission impossible, which is the building of Britain's second largest airport next to Heathrow. The point is, it's up to Heathrow to put forward a proposal. And there's nothing the government can do about that until the proposal has been submitted. And it's going to be quite a long time. And the process itself will last beyond the lifetime of this Parliament. According to Heathrow's master plan, it could take up to 15 years to build. So nothing would be happening there until the 2040s in any event. But by that point, in fact, by the time only a small number of years has elapsed, all these other expansions will have come online. They will be delivering, and they'll be delivering a greater capacity in the southeast than Heathrow was ever going to offer. In many ways, it is possible that the aggregate of announcements have made Heathrow expansion less viable, less investable.
Paul McGuinness, thank you very much, chair of the No Third Runway Coalition in Twickenham.